we're going to organize, organize, organize. We got to organize.
My name is Keith Ludlum. I'm the proud president of UFCW Local 1208 in Tar Heel, North Carolina, representing the Smithfield workers, the 5,000 Smithfield employees that are employed down there, putting picnic hams and pork chops on everybody's table across the world and in China. As many people here know, we're one of the few successes in the South in recent history, and everybody is a part of that. And when we talk about the community being involved, when we see what the community did to Volkswagen and the UAW, you know, we wouldn't have had this victory in Smithfield at all, 100% sure, had the community not got behind it. Had we not brought the sunshine down to Tar Heel and shone a little light on what was happening in the South. You know, and part of my story is part of labor's story, right? Many people here know that 1993 is when I first started working at the facility. I was raised in the South. I didn't know nothing about unions. But after I started working there, after serving in Desert Storm, you know, there's things that I've seen happening in there that there's no damn way that as somebody that stood for this country and what we stand for, not what we are, but what we stand for and what we hope to become, right, that we would allow workers to be treated like that. I've seen the fingers come off. I've seen the arms come off. I've seen the deaths, right, that happen in these plants, especially in slaughterhouses. But in 1993, I seen what was happening. I said, no, I can't stay in these conditions. And the United Food and Commercial Workers had a campaign. I became involved in that. Shortly after that, Smithfield became aware that I was involved in that and said, we no longer need your services against my rights under federal law. I said, you sent me over there, and I had scuds blowing up over me. I ain't running from you, you know? And thank God the community didn't run, the United Food and Commercial Workers didn't run. And 12 years later, I was reinstated by the federal courts. The only appeal the company had left was the Supreme Court, and they didn't want to hear this case. They've heard it for years. There's well-documented history on what happens to workers, right? But 12 years, my story wasn't a good story to tell workers when I went back in that plant. Man, we're glad you're here. We're glad you're back. But damn, 12 years, I got a family to feed, right? So in a way, they were successful, and that's what companies do, and that's what workers, just like the workers that we're trying to organize in the Mount Air Poultry, the 2,000 workers down there in Lumber Bridge, that we'll be filing charges against because they're doing the same old game. But you know what's different? We know their playbook. We've seen it, and it ain't gonna work no more because we got a different dance that we dance nowadays, and we learned it at Smithfield. And that's we get the community involved, we get the neighbors involved, and we show what these companies do to workers. People go to work to earn a living for their families, not for you to harass them and berate them about what they believe in. And if they believe in having a union at the workplace, you don't have the right, corporate America, to say no to that or interfere with that. And if you interfere with that, we're going to step up to you. No longer in the South are we laying down no more. Okay, it's on. It's a war on workers. Smithfield was just the start. I've spent 4 years getting stewards involved, getting infrastructure in our plant, and now we're ready to start focusing on other facilities and other workers, because there's no difference in what the workers in Tar Heel are, or the workers at Mount Air, or the workers at Purdue. Okay? We've declared that organizing the South is the only option we have. We are on the endangered species list. Okay? It is on. And we need your help. And you don't need to allow companies and neighborhoods, they organize so quick in Tennessee to speak. And when neighbors are telling people that work there, hey, don't vote for the union, that means a lot to people. They might not know they're voting against their own interest. But when the mayor's coming out like they did down where we're from, when the Chamber of Commerce is coming out in the papers, workers vote against their own interest. People vote against their own interest. And that's why we need an avenue and a tactic that can stand up against that. And that's community involvement. They're learning it, we've learned it, it's the only thing that works. It's our task to get you involved. I mean, labor, we have to look at ourselves too. We have a lot of fault, right? We have a lot of fault. And if the workers at Mount Air don't know that I'm representing well at Tar Heel, there's no daggone way I'm going to organize them. But we represent at Tar Heel. I've got former Mount Air workers that work at Smithfield now. They see the difference. They're involved in the campaign. In 2 weeks, we've got over 300 workers to sign union cards. Okay? Companies pulling people into HR, threatening them with termination, calling the police on them. So we're going to have to dance this dance again. But we're going to dance it. Why? Because those workers deserve it. Our children deserve it. Our state deserves it. As Mary B. said, our country deserves it. Our economies deserve it. Unionization of the workplace nowadays is the only way, as it was 100 years ago, for us to get this country on the move economically. The 1% growing, the disparity between everybody's incomes now, people are tired of it, right? We have to organize. Workers have to organize, and the only way we can do it is if people believe in what we're doing, okay? The stories of unions and, you know, all they want is your dues and all that, so they don't do anything, they're not effective, fine. Let us show you what we do now. Let us show you how we register 200 workers in the workplace to vote in one afternoon. We got 5,000 workers in Tar Heel, and those 5,000 workers are not going to sit still. We're not going to allow it to happen. When we get to 2,000 in Mount Air, we got 7,000. There's another 2,500 in Purdue. That's in southeast North Carolina. Workers in Raleigh and Durham and Charlotte and everybody, we're going to be coming together. The things that Reverend Barber's doing this Memorial Monday is bringing everybody together. Everybody's fed up. Why are you fed up? Look at the decline in unionization. And the decline in unionization is not because of unions. It is a proven conspiracy by corporate America to put us on history, in history. No longer will we be crying and yelling from the corners. They want to put us no longer existing, no longer able to exist. What was the first agenda for the legislature of North Carolina? To attack teachers and their ability to organize, right? That was their first agenda. They're not worried about jobs. They're not worried about what's happening in our community. They're not worried about people on unemployment. You know, all these things affect us, but number one is how much pay does somebody bring home each day to their family? We fought for the 40-hour week, and now people are working 60 and 70 hours, right? We fought against child labor, but now they're trying to keep whittling down at that. Oklahoma, they try to, what, 13 years old, you go get a full-time job or something? I mean, all these things, we're not evolving, we're revolving. We're going right back. You know, it's just a circle. And we got to stop the spinning, right? And the only way we can do it is, and this right here, I mean, this is what I've been waiting on, right? People willing to spend their time and invest their time into what's happening in their communities. And that's the only way that we're going to be able to do this. You know, and we've got to talk about these campaigns like Flock against the tobacco companies, against, you know, Walmart, you know, all these different campaigns that are going on. Raise the $15. We've got to talk about them. We got to talk to those workers. You guys know people that work in these places. You know people that work at fast food. Tell them, when the union comes, talk to them, be involved. Encourage them. You know, when TSA was organizing, big thing was every time when I was an organizer with the International, you know, say something to a TSA when you go through. You know, it means a lot to people. I tell my organizers, my stewards that I've pulled out to organize the Mount Air employees, when you're talking to the husband that works there, talk to the wife too. Because she's going to be there when they're beating him up at the plant. All right? Appreciate it, guys. Thank you.